Two versions of the same morning. Same person. Age 55. In one, you are sitting in a meeting you didn't choose to be in, doing work you stopped caring about years ago, running numbers in your head about how many more years you have to keep showing up before you can stop. In the other, you are not in that meeting. You don't have to be. Today is yours. Same starting salary, same city, same starting point. The only difference between these two versions of you is a decision made 30 years ago that looked completely ordinary at the time. So small, so unremarkable, that most people made the opposite choice without thinking twice about it. This is the story of that decision. You are 24 years old, first real job, first apartment with your name on the lease, first month where you paid every bill yourself and felt something between pride and mild terror. After rent, after groceries, after the subscriptions you signed up for and the ones you forgot you signed up for, you have about $100 left. Not a lot, not nothing. And you have two choices with it. You don't know either of them yet. Most people in your position do the same thing. The obvious thing. The thing that feels responsible and safe and like the right move for someone who is just starting out and doesn't have enough to do anything serious yet. They put it in their savings account. And for a while, a surprisingly long while, that feels completely fine. Here's what that version of your life actually looks like. You are 30. 6 years of $100 a month going into your savings account. You have about $7,400 saved. Your account pays 0.01% interest, which means in 6 years the bank has contributed approximately 74 cents to your financial future. But the $7,400 is real. It feels like a cushion. It feels like you are doing the right thing. And you are busy, a new relationship, maybe a move to a different city, a job change, and the $7,400 is just there, quietly sitting, and that feels okay. You are 35. You have about $14,000 saved. Life is fuller now, more expensive. The $100 a month has stayed roughly consistent, but the savings account still pays almost nothing, and you haven't really thought about it because there are other things to think about. You are 40. And then something happens. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe it's a layoff. Maybe it's a medical bill that arrives at exactly the wrong time. Maybe it's just the quiet realization one Sunday evening that you have been working for almost 20 years and you are not meaningfully closer to the life you pictured when you started. You look at your savings account. There is about $22,000 in it, 20 years of $100 a month. And you have $22,000. Not because you did anything wrong, not because you were irresponsible, because you put your money in a place that was never designed to build wealth. It was designed to hold money, and it did exactly that. The average savings account at a major U.S. bank currently pays 0.01% interest annually. On $22,000, that is $2.20 per year. $2.20. Your money sat there for 20 years, and the bank gave you the equivalent of a vending machine snack in return. Now rewind. Same age, same $100, same ordinary Tuesday. Different decision. You are 24 again. Same apartment, same salary, same $100 at the end of the month. This time, you put it somewhere different. Not because you were particularly wise. Not because you knew something most people don't. Just because someone showed you what the math actually looks like. And once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. You open a Roth IRA. You put the $100 in a low-cost index fund, a fund that owns a tiny piece of thousands of companies at once, charges almost nothing in fees, and has historically returned around 7% per year adjusted for inflation. You set it up to transfer automatically on payday, then you essentially forget about it. You are 30. You have about $8,600 invested. Not dramatically different from the savings account version yet. The curve is still fairly flat. You barely notice it. You are 35. Something starts to shift. You have approximately $17,300 invested, and the growth isn't coming just from your contributions anymore. It's coming from the returns on the returns. The number is starting to feed itself. You are 40. You have approximately $52,000 invested. And here's where the same life event hits. The layoff, the medical bill, the Sunday evening realization. Except this time, when you look at your account, you have options the other version of you didn't have. Not because you earned more, not because you sacrificed more. Because 16 years ago, on an ordinary Tuesday, you put $100 in the right place and left it alone. Here's the number that makes most people stop and read it twice. $100 a month, starting at 24, in a low-cost index fund inside a Roth IRA, at a 7% average annual return. By the time you are 55, you have approximately $349,000, tax-free, every dollar of it, because of the account you chose. That is not a typo. That is not a special circumstance. That is $100 a month and 30 years and the right container for the money. The savings account version of you contributed the same amount. $100 a month for 30 years is $36,000 of your own money. The savings account gave you back roughly what you put in, plus enough to buy a decent blender. The index fund turned $36,000 into $349,000. The difference? $313,000 was generated entirely by where the money sat and how long it sat there. Here's something you almost did in that second version that would have quietly cost you $25,000 without you ever knowing it happened. When you opened your investment account at 24, you almost picked a fund that looked professional and had an impressive name. It charged 1.2% annually in fees. You almost clicked confirm. You didn't, because you checked one number first, the expense ratio. 1.2% sounds like nothing. Over 30 years on $100 a month, it costs you approximately $25,000 compared to a fund charging 0.03%. Not a one-time fee, not a visible charge, just a small percentage running silently in the background for 3 decades, compounding against you the same way the returns were compounding for you. The fund you actually chose charges 0.03%. The Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, the Fidelity Zero Total Market Fund. Funds that own the entire market at essentially no cost. That one number, checked once, on the day you opened the account, was worth $25,000. And the other thing that almost didn't happen, the automation. The first 2 months you invested manually. You transferred the $100 yourself after payday. The third month you forgot. The fourth month something came up. By month 6 you had missed 3 months and the habit was already unraveling. So you set up an automatic transfer. On payday, before the money lands in your checking account in any meaningful way, before your brain has had time to find somewhere else for it to go. That automation, that 1 5-minute setup, is the reason you never missed another month. And the difference between investing $100 every single month for 30 years versus investing it most months with occasional gaps is approximately $34,000. Not from investing more, from never stopping. 3 decisions, 1 account type, 1 number checked, 1 automation setup. Together, they are the difference between $349,000 and $22,000. From the same $100 a month. But here's the part that actually keeps people up at night. And it's not the numbers, it's the time. What if you hadn't started at 24? What if you had waited, just a little, because things weren't quite settled yet? Because you wanted to understand it better first, because $100 a month didn't feel like enough to matter. Start at 25 instead of 24. You end up with approximately $323,000 instead of $349,000. 1 year of waiting costs $26,000. Start at 27, $277,000. 3 years of waiting costs $72,000. Start at 29 instead of 24, $222,000. 5 years of waiting costs $127,000. Not because you invested less, you invested exactly the same amount each month. The only variable is when you started. And each year of delay has a specific price, a real number, that compound interest quietly calculates on your behalf, whether you know about it or not. The financial industry has a phrase for this that sounds motivational, but is actually slightly terrifying once you understand what it means. Time in the market beats timing the market. What it actually means is that the year you started matters more than almost any other decision you will ever make about investing. The market will go up and down. You cannot predict it. What you can control is when you gave it your money to work with. Every year you wait to start investing $100 a month costs you between $20,000 and $30,000 in future wealth. Not from spending that money, from not investing it. The money sitting in a savings account isn't safe. It is quietly losing a race it didn't know it was running. And before you think this is only relevant if you're 24, there's one more version of this story. The one nobody talks about. And it might be the most important one. Maybe you are watching this at 28, or 31, or 34. Maybe you are doing the math in your head and feeling the weight of the years that have already passed without an investment account open anywhere. Here is what is actually true. Starting at 29 instead of 24 costs $127,000. That is real, and it is worth knowing, and it is uncomfortable. But starting at 29 with $100 a month still gets you to $222,000 by 55. $222,000 that does not exist if you decide you are too late and don't start at all. The person who started at 24 has more. That math is not going to change. But the person who started at 29 has $222,000 more than the person who spent the rest of their 30s and 40s telling themselves they had missed it. You have not missed it. You have missed some of it. There is a difference. The best time to start was 5 years ago. The second best time is this Tuesday. And the version of you at 55, in the meeting, running the numbers, is not the version that started late. It is the version that never started. Back to those 2 Tuesday mornings at 55. One version of you is in that meeting. Not because something went wrong. Not because life was unfair. Just because 30 years ago, $100 went into a savings account every month instead of somewhere it could actually grow. The money was there. The intention was there. The right place wasn't. The other version of you is not in that meeting. Not because something went spectacularly right. Not because of luck or inheritance or a career that took off in ways you couldn't have predicted. Just because 30 years ago, on an ordinary Tuesday, with $100 that didn't feel like enough to matter, you opened the right account, picked the right fund, checked one number, set up one automatic transfer, and then got on with your life. The $100 didn't feel like a decision that would matter. That is exactly what makes it the one that matters most. The difference between those 2 Tuesday mornings at 55 is not wealth. It is not a number in an account. It is the freedom to choose what today looks like. You still have Tuesdays left. What you do with this one is up to you. Quick note before you go. Everything in this video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. All statistics come from verified public sources, including Vanguard Index Fund Expense Ratio data, Fidelity Index Fund data, IRS Publication 590-B Roth IRA Rules 2025, NerdWallet Compound Interest Calculator, and Vanguard Investor Behavior Research. Scenarios in this video are composite illustrations based on widely documented financial experiences. For advice specific to your situation, please consult a qualified financial advisor.